Welcome back to the KickNPost YouTube channel and podcast with your hosts Amal Thompson and Chris Perry. And now we're getting into some of the shiftier guys in the NFL draft. Player profile coverage. Zay Flowers out of Boston College. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm good. I'm glad we're on this little run of receivers. Been waiting to get to Zay, so I want to see how. This is crazy. I just be throwing on hoodies when I get cold, but this color
up.
The color is matching again. Up. I promise this is not on purpose.
It's not. Not. But we're gonna ride with it, you know. So let's hop into Zay. Pretty solid production at BC, which we need to shed a little bit more light on, because what's the last great quarterback to play at Boston College? Exactly. So for him to produce the way he's produced at the wide receiver position at BC gives me reason to go, okay, I see you doing a little something. Very shifty, not human joystick level like Kadarius Toney is, but definitely more durable. Put on some weight going into the combine. Boy was 170. We don't like our receivers to be that light. He heard that, ended up at the combine at 183, and still torched the 40-yard dash. Love to see that. Decent bench reps. Great elevation on his vertical. I think he was like 35.5 inches. At 5'9", that is necessary. He couldn't come in there at 5'9" and jump a 26-inch vertical. That would take him off of a lot of people's boards, but he did himself a favor at the combine. Honestly, I feel like he's a pretty solid route runner. I've seen him find the blind spots in DBs in a couple of the highlights I've watched. You can set him on go routes. You can send him over the middle. You can give him little bubble screens. He can do a lot for you. If you guys see the tape that we have on right now, he's probably running back punts as well. He's kind of a utility knife type of wide receiver. Again, at 5'9", though, probably not going to command much as your wide receiver one off rip. But I like what I see on tape, and I think in this NFL where you're trying to find guys to do multiple things, he'll fit well into that system. So I'm excited for a guy like Zay Flowers. How do you feel about this prospect, Chris?
I like him. In terms of receiver, I'm not in love with him. In terms of playmaker, I like him a little bit better. So just depends on what a coach plans to do with him in his scheme. He's not a player you can just all right, go out there and run some routes. He can do that, but that's a waste of a pick if you're gonna ask Zay Flowers to do that. You're gonna have to. A perfect situation for him is to be a Debo role in San Fran, or a Samuel role in Washington. Mm-hmm. Something where you can make those gadget plays, get him in open space, let him do what he does best. So
I could see him being a lot of what spot. They expected out of Rondell Moore.
What Rondell Moore thought he was. Yeah, Zay Flower is in terms of explosiveness, elusiveness.
Definitely in the mold of, like you said, Curtis Samuel. I like that comp. But
I'm really keen in on that on draft day just to see where he lands and what type of system they already have, the type of coach, their philosophy. If they're a Sean McVay where they adjust on the fly, or is it a Ron Rivera, what I say works because it did it in 2000 something with Cam Newton. So
for real. I've
really
seen Mock sending him to Kansas City. That would be fun, but I mean, Kadarius Toney's out there. I don't know how many gadget guys we need. Obviously, Kadarius Toney has an issue with staying on the field, but you have Kadarius Toney, you have Zay Flowers, you have Sky Moore. All those guys are under 5'10". So, what are we doing? We need somebody with a little bit of elevation. I know we have Travis Kelce still out there. So I think even though people love the idea of Zay Flowers being with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I don't think he's on their board personally. I'll go out on a limb right now and say he will not be in Kansas City. I could see him for the Saints next to Chris Olave. I could see him in Carolina, maybe. I don't think they have a first-round pick anymore. Do they even have a second-round pick?
I don't know what Carolina has,
I don't
especially
know what
after that trade.
Anymore, but I could see him utilized in Carolina. Out of the backfield, also in gadget plays, also out the slot. Again, they don't really have a solidified wide receiver one. They have Adam Thielen out there. Adam Thielen is, to me, over the hill in that role. I could still see him being a very solid wide receiver two, or a mentor to a possible wide receiver one, but I don't see him being that guy for a young quarterback. So if Carolina could either find themselves a way to get back into the first, or or, if they still have a first round pick. I'm not 100% sure. Zay Flowers is not a bad guy to add to the mix. What other teams love him landing with?
I feel like no matter where he lands, he's going to be staying on your taxi squad majority of the year.
Yeah.
So keep him there the whole year. I know another comp he was getting was Antonio Brown, of course, which even Antonio Brown took some time to be Antonio Brown. So don't be one of those guys where week 1, week 2, he's not doing good.
You're expecting AB. If you're expecting AB day 1, definitely chill out. Like we said in a couple videos back, the only guys who won't be spending time on your taxi squad most likely, Bijan Robinson. Even JSN, who I love day 1. Even a lot of these quarterbacks that I love day 1. They shouldn't be starting off the rip for you if you're at least if you're in like a dynasty startup. Maybe if you're in a rebuilding mode and that's all the players you have that you can start, fine. But these guys should not be major contributors for you on your roster day 1.
Or at least don't plan on that.
Don't
that's
plan
a
on
horrible
it.
plan.
Yeah.
Horrible plan. If
At
it
least
happens,
see
great.
week 1. At least see week 1 happen. Don't just look at the scores either. See the snap percentages. See how often they were on the field. And if they're highly involved, if their snap percentage is over 75 to 80%, they're on the field for majority of the plays, then you could start kind of scheming them into being a part of your system, a part of your roster going forward for the whole year. If these guys blow up, give you a 25-point game, but you go back and you look at the stat sheet and they're only on the field for like 18% of the snaps, don't fall for the hype. Give it some time. unless
you just throw shade at Rondale Moore, or
I wasn't really throwing shade at Rondale Moore, but I'm just saying, guys will blow up. Guys will have a big week. Once you take them off that taxi squad, you can't put them back on. And in this fantasy game, being able to play the waivers and do all of that stuff is very, very important. So leave your bench spots available and don't jump the gun on starting your rookies. Let them mature. Let those snap percentages go up, and then we go from there. Zay Flowers for me is obviously a first-round draft pick if he gets the right capital, which right now mocks have him in the first round.
Yeah.
He is most likely going to get that first-round draft capital. And I think his type of player could seamlessly fit into a lot of teams. If they don't force him to be, a traditional wide receiver that lines up for routes consistently either on the outside, which they probably would put him on the outside based on his size. They just traditionally put him on the outside and say just run the route tree and do that. If they get him involved with a little bit of toss, like how Tyreek Hill gets used in Miami. Get him involved behind the line of scrimmage. Get him screen passes. Get him, things over the middle. Things that are really easy where they could use your athleticism to break away or make an extra play. Then he will do numbers for you. If they try to line him up outside and make him Chase Claypool, then it's gonna flop. It's gonna fall on his face a bit. So, me personally,
you're preaching right now.
I'm just saying. Me personally,
facts.
I'm looking at a 1.8 to 112 range for Zay Flowers. If he's the first wide receiver off the board, obviously things have to readjust. To a certain extent, not too much. I don't want to go. An example is the Henry Ruggs year. Henry Ruggs went first.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I did not want Henry Ruggs. No offense to Henry Ruggs.
I cared.
You did. A lot of people loved Henry Ruggs. I didn't see it on film. I didn't see the production. I didn't see the route tree. I know he's fast, but I didn't want Henry Ruggs, especially with the landing spot. So don't force it if he lands in a situation that you think he won't be utilized the best way or he'll be able to mature the best way. But still, you have to assess things as they go. And 1.8 to 112 range is if he goes where I expect him to. If he lands in the perfect situation with the perfect draft capital, I'd be willing to kind of move that up to the 1.7 range. I still like JSN more. I still like the quarterbacks more because, again, quarterbacks are currency. I still like the Jahmyr Gibbs and the Bijan Robinsons of the world. But at the 1.7 or the 1.8 range, I start taking a look at Zay if he lands at the perfect spot. How do you feel about the kid?
I mean, that's where he lives right now. Like you said, unless he gets drafted to the perfect situation for him as the receiver one off the board in the actual draft, then you got to consider earlier. But right now, it's pretty set in stone, 1.8 to 112. Anything after that, you're blessed. Anything before that, you're blessed because someone else falls to you. So,
yeah. If he lands in the second round range, I'm trading somebody on my roster. Right? I have Brandon Ayuk. I would gladly trade Brandon Ayuk for the 2-2 to take Zay Flowers. No offense. There's a lot of mouths to feed out there in San Fran. And again, if he lands in a good situation, even if it's the Giants or something like that, where they could utilize that skill set pretty heavily, then I'm down to trade back to get the kid. But right now, 117 to 112 range, depending on landing spots, is my deal. Excited to see where he lands. Again, all of these are before the NFL draft actually announced. We're just assessing the player as we see it. And again, his ability to put on 13 pounds of weight and still run that speed is what really has me kind of interested, because now he has the body for a utility player. I don't want a guy to be 170, 165 going over the middle. 183, he could take a couple hits, so I'm excited to see what Zay Flowers
he can deliver some too. We're gonna see.
Yeah, he could drop the shoulder a bit, so I'm excited to see what he's able to do on whatever roster is graced with his presence. Any future takes on Zay? Any teams you like to see him on?
No, just be patient. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think the talent's there, just not there yet, and depends on how fast he wants to get there by this offseason. Looks like he wants it pretty bad. He's putting in the work, so
Yeah.
as long as he keeps on working, there's no issue on why he shouldn't be a serviceable player 2-3 years from now.
For sure. So that concludes our coverage of Zay Flowers. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the continued support on all these player profiles we've been doing. Got a lot more of them coming to you. We should be covering a couple more wide receivers and quarterbacks going forward. There's more running backs on our board. There's more tight ends on our board. We're going to start doing some dynasty rookie mock drafts without these players being on teams yet. Excited to do that. And then ideal landing spot, dynasty rookie mock drafts. We got a lot planned for y'all. So thanks for the support. Keep watching the videos, and we'll see you all in the next one. Peace.